Well, in that case,
basically the story is Marco Rubio didn't really say much, but took a sip of water.
Well, it wasn't that he only took a sip of water, Pete. He did one of these things. For those watching, for those listening on the radio, he went out the camera frame. But if you're watching me, you one of these, like, oh, let me go over here and get some water.
And creepily kept eye contact with America while he did it.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about this, and I've had a lot of conversation about this subject matter with members of the conservative media, and members who are, conservative strategists, and they're like, this is a staffing mistake.
I guess.
No. I agree. I think it is a staffing mistake.
I don't know. Like, if I was his staff, I'd been like, don't leave the shot.
I think that this is
drink water before you're on camera.
This is a staffing mistake that probably happened 5 years ago.
No, this is a staffing mistake, and I'll tell you why. I'm not saying that this is not funny and Marco Rubio is not an amateur. He's not ready for the major leagues, because that's all true. He's an amateur.
Not presidential.
He's not presidential. He's not ready for the major leagues. But I'm saying, if you know your boss is giving a big speech like this, 11 minutes, stand up in front of a teleprompter, and I were the staffer on duty to that night, I would have put him behind a podium, and I would have put water, just like the president had, in a tumbler glass, a nice tumbler glass, in the podium well. So if he was thirsty, it would be an easy reach. We go here, boom, put it back down. It's natural that you're going to get thirsty. It's natural you're going to get cotton mouth when you're giving public speaking. Also, before the speech, I would have had Senator Rubio drink a shit ton of water.
Yeah, I think that is like the big thing. When you need some water before you go out there. Just make sure you're
drink some water,
fully hydrated, top the tank off.
Yeah, drink some water and go to the bathroom.
Right.
Because you're standing there for 12 minutes and give your address.
That would have been funny if he really had to go to the bathroom the whole time. He's dancing around.
For 12 minutes, you can't be president.
Yeah.
I think the other thing one of my conservative colleagues pointed out when I was sort of talking to them about it is they made the point to point out that throughout the speech, he said, like, before he got the water, it looked like he was getting ready to pass out. Like, he kept, touching his face. He kept sort of fidgeting around like he was getting, like, vertigo.
I mean, these are all things that a media trainer should have taught him. Hang on.
You're stupid.
Rich is taking a long water break for everyone in Radio Land.
Yeah, Rich is taking a long water break. No, this is something that a good media trainer...
You notice how I never stopped looking at the camera. It's important.
I guess. You're completely correct.
You need to connect with the people,
no matter
what you're doing.
A good media consultant or a good professional media trainer would have said, they wouldn't have let him do a stand-up like this if he wasn't prepared for a stand. Maybe he should have been sitting down behind a desk.
Well, and he also, I think, though, at this level, he's a senator. You got to be able to fight through that.
Fight through the cotton mouth, or here's what you do. If someone has really, really bad cotton mouth, you know this in advance, and you prepare the speech, so if he really needs to take a sip of water, like Richard said, there's a natural pause. You have a podium, or you go to a clip, and he takes a sip, you do something. Graphic swipe.
Yeah, just do anything.
I mean, this goes back to what I was saying. I think that the mistakes that were made in his speech sort of speaks volumes to where the Republican Party is as a party. Mind you, this was a very, 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 it was a stupid mistake and blah, blah, blah. He laughed about it. He tweeted out the picture of the bottle, Polar Springs. But I think you can't look at the speech in a vacuum. You got to take it out the vacuum and realize, put it all into play. So the President of the United States comes onto the Capitol to give this huge State of the Union address. There's applause, there's American flags, there's, pageantry and all the things that make America great. And then you have Marco Rubio's response that was not prepared well enough, clearly.
Taped in a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
No, he looked like he didn't be in the speaker's gallery or the speaker's balcony.
Yeah, he was in the house somewhere.
He was in the house side somewhere, right? And you add that with the fact that following his response, there was a response to the response from Rand Paul that nobody's talking about because it's irrelevant.
I don't think anyone even watched it.
Well, that's my point. So you had two responses of which only one people watch, and of the one that people watched, there was a huge blooper, and he was not prepared for the major leagues.
And I could see this playing a role with donors who he's going to be courting for 2016. Because the last thing all these Republican donors want is another gaffe-prone, bumbling idiot of a candidate.
Like Mitt Romney. I mean, this is a Mitt Romney mistake, though. I will say that.
Exactly. It's a very Romney-esque
mistake. I mean, either way, I think,
And the creepiness is very Romney.
I feel really bad for Marco Rubio because just like Bobby Jindal, he has torpedoed his career. Hopefully he survives this, and hopefully, we can make fun of him in 2016. If not, this will just not be worth it. It's not worth wasting the 6 minutes to talk about him.